Welcome to the Birdhouse Dynasty show. We're back and we're live for some mock draft mayhem. Who's in the house tonight? Who's ready? Well, we're going to start off with a little trade action. Yes, we're going to get going with a trade here, and to get things rolling, I want to do a little, let's see here. We're going to go right here, and we're going to show you a trade from my Dynasty Land League. It's a 12-team Superflex tight end premium. We had a big deal go on in this league during the draft, which we started a couple days ago. And let me bring it up here for you. Right here we have Break Yourself trading with the DeLorean, and Break Yourself decided to get rid of Patrick Mahomes, and in return, he acquired Joe Burrow and the 107 pick, which was Roma Dunze from the DeLorean. And if we slide into the draft room here, we can show you how this draft board has been rolling in Dynasty Land. So we had the number 7 pick right here from the DeLorean, went to Break Yourself along with Joe Burrow for Patrick Mahomes. Now, if we break this one down, this is the kind of deal I like if you're getting rid of Patrick Mahomes. You're tearing down ever so slightly to Joe Burrow, and then you're acquiring a top end prospect like Roma Dunze, who could be an elite alpha receiver very soon, as soon as this first season. I know it's a crowded wide receiver room, but I definitely believe he's the most talented wide receiver there. Year one, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen definitely will take some targets away, and it all comes down to how much passing volume they really want to have Caleb Williams do. But my guess is he'll be slinging the rock plenty. And so exciting things for Roma Dunze there. So in this deal, it goes both ways, because if you see the DeLorean here, he also drafted Xavier Worthy at the what would this be, the 109. So he got the stack there with Worthy and Mahomes. And I mean, you know, you're getting Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to argue against that. So I see it from both sides. The DeLorean also grabbed Ricky Pearsall later in this draft. He grabbed Michael Penix Jr. at pick 204. And so the DeLorean had an exciting draft. We are in the 4th round right here. We're on the clock with Chris Cash Money. He is in the draft room deciding who to pick. I actually have a trade offer out for Chris Cash Money here. We'll see what he decides to do. All right. Now it's time. How many people do we have in here? Who wants to do a mock draft, huh? We've got this link right over here for you in the chat for you to click on. And you click on that link and you can enter my mock draft that I have set up. Once we get 12 spots filled, we will get this thing rolling. But in the meantime, we can start discussing things. So let's see. Let me try and bring this up. This is the first time I'm doing this, so pardon with me here. It okay. So looks like we got Steve claimed spot 10 so far. I am going to try and claim a spot right here in the middle of this one. Let's go with 107. All right. So just click on the link and click on the link over here on the right hand side if you're watching in the chat, and you can join in on the mod. Meantime, oh, looks like Cash Money didn't want to do the deal. He went ahead and took Brendan Rice, the right wide receiver out of USC that went to the Chargers later than thought in the 7th round. Still gets a nice landing spot there with the new regime in LA of Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, tandem up with Justin Herbert and the gang there. A lot of new offensive faces for the Chargers this year. Should be a very interesting season for the Chargers offense. They probably won't be flinging it around as often as they had in the past, but we'll see. We'll see how well it is successful for them. See where we're at here. Okay, Steve left. So we're waiting. Again, just click on the link over here on the right to join in on the mock draft. We're ready to do, as many as you want to do tonight. All right. So just click on the link and you'll be in the mock draft. Now, if you haven't already, download the Sleeper app. That's the only way you can get in on it. But in the meantime, we can go over a few of my other drafts here. So let's do this. We've got that one open. Let's go out of here quick. So did have another league that this one's a little exciting. So check out the draft room here. This one is almost complete. It was a 4-round, 12-team Superflex tight end premium. And in this draft, we won this league last season. And so had the 112 pick, but had dealt that away. We actually had the 111 from somebody else and traded that for Kelsey in the off season. Now, this one was very interesting up at the top, as you see here. So the Break Yourself had the 101 as well as the 104. And JMNK had the 102 and 103 picks. So Break Yourself decided to make a little gamble by not taking Caleb Williams at the 101. He went ahead and grabbed Marv at 101, and then Caleb slid all the way back to him at the 104. Now, he must have had an inkling that Matt here did not like Caleb, but preferred Jaden Daniels, which I am not against. Jaden Daniels probably has potentially a higher ceiling than Caleb. Now, that you can argue. Now, if you want to take it at face value, go ahead and say that you like Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. I'm fine with that. I mean, by this time next season, we could be saying Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback, and he's ahead of Lamar Jackson. It's possible he has decent weapons there. They have Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, added Luke McCaffrey, and Ben Sinnott at tight end in the draft. Decent running backs and Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Just a whole new offense we're going to see from Washington this season. should be exciting with Jaden Daniels. We'll see. I would say he's ready to go week one right away for them. And I'm looking forward to watching the Commanders play this year because that should be an exciting set of fireworks there. Now, if we go on in this draft, we move down to pick 5, and Roma Dunze went at 5 here to Big Dubs. Then at 6, we had Brock Bowers, 7, Drake May, and then 8, Brian Thomas. Now, if we're looking at picks 105 through 108, this is definitely not what the community consensus was throwing out there at you. Okay. Usually picks, I would say the first 4 players are generally the first 4 players, but picks 105 through 108, I would have JJ McCarthy in there, just about even with Drake May, whichever one you prefer. I prefer McCarthy slightly just because of the weapons around him, but you can easily argue May. May has more talent, um, but he's going into an interesting situation in New England. McCarthy obviously landed in Minnesota, and he is going to be slinging it to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson once he's healthy. So he is loaded, and we'll see how soon McCarthy gets into the lineup there in Minnesota. But again, Brock Bowers going at 106 is a little higher than everybody has him. Pretty much the whole community was scared off by the landing spot of Bowers. Um, we were all expecting Bowers to go in the top 10, possibly to the Jets. There were a few other options there in the top 10, but of course he fell to the Raiders at pick 13, which was quite odd to everyone, seeing as they just drafted Michael Mayer last year. So it's kind of up in the air as far as how many targets Bowers will be getting year one. Of course, he is a rookie tight end, but we had Sam Laporta show out pretty well last year. So I don't know. I do expect Bowers to take over for sure that top role at tight end. And by year 2, I don't know if Devontae Adams lasts through the season without getting traded from Las Vegas. And I would expect heading into year 2, I think Bowers will be the top option there. We don't know quarterback situation for year 2. I mean, Minshew came in and got a 2-year deal. It's going to be close. That should be an interesting camp battle. I'm leaning towards Minshew just with the veteran presence. Aiden O'Connell isn't completely terrible though, so I mean, he could beat him out. Either way, though, both of those guys are below average in comparison to the rest of the league. But I do think that they can throw the ball, and so there'll be plenty of pass attempts there, plenty of opportunity for Bowers to get a ton of looks. And so I think he'll be successful. I just don't know that I would reach for him at the 106. But can't blame him either. If he didn't need a quarterback, as we see here, we actually jumped up and grabbed JJ McCarthy at the 109. We gave up Brandon Ayuk. Our team is loaded at wide receiver, so we were able to afford getting rid of Brandon Ayuk and went ahead and grabbed JJ McCarthy, who is now our 3rd quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. We do have Justin Jefferson on that team, so we're kind of looking for the stack there. And McCarthy gives us a good young option behind Mahomes and Dak. Dak's now over 30 years old, so who knows how long he'll be playing for. I'm not too worried about Dak. I mean, I think he's got at least another 5 years in him, and he should be reloading contract wise in Dallas, if not before the season, next off season. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, enough about my team. We did have Brian Thomas move up to the 108. Now he's generally taken in this range here. I would say 109 through 111 generally is when he's taken, but I can totally understand wanting Brian Thomas if your team needs wide receiver help and doesn't need any quarterback help. So As we move along, then we have Xavier Worthy here, of course, at 110, and that's generally where he's been. I would say Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, and Lad McConkey in general are now moved up to the consensus wide receivers 4 through 6, with Keon Coleman right behind there. So I would say these are the next 4 receivers in general off the board in most drafts. Of course, following the big 3. Now, if we move over to the second round here, now I forgot about Bo Nix. Bo Nix is quite the interesting pick. I would say Nick should have slotted in probably at 108, and McCarthy, well, you could say Bowers and McCarthy would change, and Nick would slide in at the 108. That's kind of where I'm seeing him at. I have no problem taking a Dunze this high. I really love the kid. He could be the best receiver of this class. I mean, he is definitely close enough as a prospect to Neighbors and Harrison that he could explode this season, even with that loaded wide receiver room now in Chicago. Now, if we go to the second round, it started off with Bo Nix. I'm sure Big Dubs was ecstatic to land him at the 201. Nix walks into a loaded Denver quarterback room where they traded for Zach Wilson this offseason, still have Jared Stidham. I mean, they're and now of course you have Nick, and Sean Payton seems to be ecstatic over this kid. As we know later on, he did draft his college teammate for him, Troy Franklin. So Nix and Franklin get to team up in Denver. We'll see what that does for Franklin's value, as he fell in the NFL draft down to round 4, but the Broncos traded up to scoop him up right at the beginning of round 4. And I think they're happy to have that tandem. Cortland Sutton's getting a little older. Of course, it's Judy to the Browns. And so Franklin walks into a situation where he could conceivably take over that wide receiver room in Denver. Now, after Nix, we had I do want to mention this draft. I forgot that we did have 2 supplemental picks. If I can, I can't show them, but the 2 supplemental picks were Jonathan Brooks and Michael Penix. So those 2 went right after the 101 and 102. So we did have Trey Benson go ahead of no, I'm sorry. They were the first and second picks of the second round. Then Bo Nix and Benson went. So we actually had Penix go ahead of Bo Nix in this draft, which did happen in the real NFL draft. I have no problem with that. Value-wise, maybe that wasn't the greatest call, but I do see Penix as a better talent than Nix. It's just a matter of, would I do that? Probably not, because I want the guy who's willing to. Oh, sorry. Click on like just helping somebody get into this draft here. How you doing, Colin? There we go. Okay. Let's see here. We are going to check out the draft room here. We've got 3 spots, plenty of spots available, guys. We got 9 spots out there. So go back to this draft board to show you a little bit of what happened. So like I said, we did have Penix and Jonathan Brooks go ahead of Bo Nix and then Trey Benson. And next up, we had Ricky Pearsall go in the next tier of wide receivers here, which you could go say Ricky Pearsall down to, I'd say Jalen Polk. You got this area here: one, two, three, four, five, six wide receivers. Maybe you can cut it off at Leggett. I don't know that I have Roman Wilson this high, but some might. I understand it. Roman Wilson's a very solid player, got a great landing spot in Pittsburgh. I just don't know about the volume there, but he easily could be the number two there. Even, I mean, he could even out target George Pickens as the season goes on, because Pickens is more of the deep threat, whereas Wilson is going to be working underneath. It's just really a matter of how much volume the passing game with Arthur Smith there is going to have in Pittsburgh. Now, then we had a couple of running backs, Marshawn Lloyd and Blake Corum go. You could pick either of those two. I have no problem with that. Ben Sinnott, though, going at the 207. That's little rich, but Ben Sinnott, new, of course, like we mentioned with Jaden Daniels, that new offense there, I could definitely see him getting plenty of targets as the Commanders' new tight end. Of course, Logan Thomas was let go for this offseason. And so Ben Sinnott takes over the tight end room for the Commanders. After that, we had this clump of receivers, like I mentioned before, Xavier Leggett, Malachi Corley, A.D. Mitchell, and Jalen Polk. I would probably lean Leggett and Polk over Corley and A.D. Mitchell, but I understand the talent there. I mean, A.D. Mitchell was one of the most talented guys at the combine. He goes into that explosive Indy offense with Anthony Richardson running the show. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity. I really like him at best ball more than a lineup league, but I don't blame NLS 2K for taking him there. He's an exciting player. Next up, we had Jalen Wright. Love this guy. Got a great landing spot in Miami. It may not seem that way on the surface, but the reality is, I mean, Raheem Mostert obviously hasn't been the most healthy body in football. So I do think that this room is going to be Devon Achane and Jalen Wright as time goes on here, maybe as soon as the middle of this next season. Mostert's already into his 30s. So Jalen Wright brings that speed that Coach Daniel's looking for. And I just love the landing spot for Jalen Wright. And of course, at the end of this round, we had Jalen Polk. He's going to be competing with just a bunch of old dudes in New England, as well as the addition of Javon Baker, who went here at the 304. Love this kid. He's got a lot of dog in him. He could easily, between Polk and Baker, it's almost a toss up as to who's going to be the top guy. If it's up to me, I'd probably just prefer taking Baker later than grabbing Polk earlier. But again, either of them could be the top guy there for Drake May and the new New England offense. So after Polk, we had another little run on receivers. We had Jermaine Burton from Alabama going to the Bengals, who we'll see how much volume he gets. If the Bengals don't trade Higgins, then it'll drop a little for him. But if Higgins is sent packing because he wants a new deal, Jermaine Burton could see a lot of volume as the second guy to Jamar Chase. 202, we had Spencer Rattler going. That one went to Matt English here, my co-host from a couple nights ago, and he actually called that pick, Spencer Rattler going to the New Orleans Saints. I think it's a golden opportunity for Rattler to take over Derek Carr. If Carr falters this season, it could happen as soon as this season. But I would guess that the Saints are going to take it easy on Rattler and let him sit the whole season, learn something from Carr. I think that's the ideal situation for Rattler. Up next, we had Troy Franklin. We talked about him earlier with Bo Nix, golden opportunity for him, and then Javon Baker. And we had a little stretch of running backs here. We had Ray Davis going, Kamani Vidal, and Bucky Irving with Luke McCaffrey sandwiched in between them. Love Luke McCaffrey. He went to Washington as well. I could see him overtaking Jahan Dotson as the number 2 there, and who knows how well he teams up with Jaden Daniels. If those two get clicking, Luke McCaffrey is he's got a ton of talent. Obviously, the bloodline is there with his brother CMC and then his father Ed, who played many years there for the Broncos, was an awesome receiver himself. I could see Luke having a stellar career in the NFL. Uh, and after that, Bucky Irving to Tampa. He's got a great opportunity to just slide into the number 2 role there behind Rashad White. I'm sure the Bucs are going to try and lessen the load maybe for Rashad this upcoming season. So Irving will have plenty of opportunity there. Next up, we had a couple tight ends with Jalen McMillan sandwiched in between there. JT Sanders, McMillan, and then Theo Johnson going. So JT Sanders with a great opportunity in Carolina for looks. Same with Theo Johnson. Now, a lot depends on Darren Waller's status. A lot of rumors about retirement there for Waller, so I can totally understand the Giants wanting to grab Theo. Okay. And at the end of the round, then, actually, my team, we ended up taking Braylon Allen, who did not get help with the landing spot, but the talent is still there. It was more just a pick because, the rest of the running backs here all are really looking at just getting an opportunity based off of injury. Okay. None of these guys are top end running backs, but I saw Allen as having the most talent. And so if Brees Hall were to get hurt for even 2 to 3 weeks, I could see Allen sliding in. And with the Jets offense wanting to slam the ball as much as possible, I could see Allen putting up some really stellar weeks if there was a Brees Hall injury. After that, so what did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs go in a row. We had Rashawn Ali to Baltimore, Tyron Tracy, very interesting pick here to the Giants. He's going to have a great opportunity just behind Devin Singletary. Tracy, of course, came from Purdue. He was a wide receiver for 4 years at Iowa and then transferred to Purdue where they made him a running back. So Tracy has great receiving skills. He could do it you could say do it all, but at the same time, I look at him more as like a Antonio Gibson type back, but he should get plenty of opportunity there with New York. After that, Isaac Guerrero went to the Niners. Also a similar style player, wide receiver / running back. Great fit for the Niners. I mean, if McCaffrey were to go down at all this season, I could see him filling in. I mean, he could theoretically pass Elijah Mitchell on that depth chart. After him, Will Shipley went to the Eagles, buried behind Saquon Barkley, and then Audric Estime from Notre Dame going to the Broncos in a crowded running back room, but also a room where Javonte Williams has been a little disappointing to most. And so, I don't know if Javonte Williams is going to get re-signed. This is his last year on his deal. And so going forward, we could be looking at, a running back room of like Estime and McLaughlin. And that would be similar to what Peyton had in New Orleans with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I don't know if they're quite as talented as those two guys, but maybe that's what Peyton Sean Payton has in mind there. And since we had Devontae Walker, Jordan Travis, Tez Walker going to the Baltimore wide receiver room isn't all that inspiring. Jordan Travis, though, that's an interesting pick with Aaron Rodgers there. We don't know how long Rodgers is actually going to play for the Jets. It may be 1 year, maybe more. So we'll see how soon Jordan Travis actually gets an opportunity with the Jets. Um, After that, we had the tight end that went to Cincinnati, all Brendan Rice, Dylan Laub, Malik Washington, and of course, the last pick of the draft. I am just waiting for my co-owner here to make the selection. So that rounds up that draft. Again, this first four was definitely not what I expected, but again, you never know how your draft. We can prognosticate all we want this off season and tell you where to draft them and this and that, but in the end, it comes down to who you feel best about in your gut. And I can understand taking Daniels over Caleb Williams. I don't think this is the only draft that we'll see this year. I'm sure we'll see Neighbors over Harrison in some drafts as well. But the consensus definitely has Caleb and Harrison as the 1-2. All right. Let's go back here. We're going to slide over to another league. And there we go. Got this. Click out of here. And we're going to go to a 16-team super flex. Check out this draft, which just finished up. And in a 16-team super flex, you see the quarterbacks flying off the board. Really was shocked Harrison went number 1. But again, if you have to look at his squad, but if he's set at quarterback, I can understand wanting Harrison. I mean, he tried to trade back, but never know. Harrison, I see as super safe and should be an all-pro for years. All right. Then we had Caleb, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, and Drake May going back to back to back to back here. So Neighbors slid all the way to the 106. Not surprising for a 16-team league. Um, so again, that's why Neighbors fell, but Adunze went right after him. And then we had Bowers going at the 108. So we had the top 8 that were basically the top 8 prior to the NFL draft. As Bowers went ahead of Bo Nix in this draft, I could definitely see those two flipping positions, but I really wouldn't alter it this much then. All right. After that, we had, let me see if I can slide over here. Yeah, I have to close out the chat here. What I gotta do. No, we didn't really want to do that. Restore the chat here. All right. Well, you can't really slide over right now, but as you can see, after Xavier Worthy, quarterbacks are gold in this kind of format, a 16-team super flex league. Penix went right here at the 111. Then Brian Thomas. I really want to slide over here. Let's see. Well, we'll move down and over to the second round where we had Xavier Legette go at the 17th overall pick, A.D. Mitchell at the 18th pick. So at the end of this round, we had uh, Lad McConkey, Jonathan Brooks, um, Lad McConkey, Jonathan Brooks go. Um, and then here we had Leggett, A.D. Mitchell. Then the next couple of running backs, Blake Corum and Braylon Allen. So in this league, they weren't afraid to take Braylon Allen a little earlier. Next up, then we had the little run on receivers of 7 receivers going in a row here, all pretty similar. I would say Brendan Rice was maybe a little reach here, but I can understand liking the situation. Um, I just probably would have grabbed him here, but I do understand liking the situation and the bloodline, of course, you can't go wrong there. So we had the McCaffrey, Brennan Rice back to back here with the bloodlines. Of course, this is a 16-team league, so you get as you get to the back end of the second round in a 16-team league, the talent definitely drops off a little. So, and you can see a Rattler dropping all the way to the third round, but going right at the beginning of it. I do like that value there. We had Javon Baker and McMillan going back to back, then Kamani Vidal, who I really like. Frank Gore Jr. going in this. I mean, what's up with the bloodlines in this draft? We've got the McCaffreys, Rices, and Gores in this draft. Um, Next up, we had a couple of tight ends who weren't taken, or one at least. Cade Stover out of Ohio State going to Houston. Interesting there. I can see why most aren't too high on him. He wasn't overly athletic there at Ohio State. Um, and now he's kind of behind Dalton Schultz in that tight end room with the Texans. Audric Estime, I grabbed at the 312. And then we went into the fourth round, which is really, really deep when you're getting into it. But this draft class does have a ton of talent. There's still some good players down here. Tyron Tracy got scooped up at the 404. Definitely, I was in between Estime and Tracy when I picked, so don't blame this guy traded up. It was Rob C. I know traded up for him at that spot. Now, see if I can. There we go. I was able to bring it over. Now I just want to see if I can. Why can't I move over? It's a little frustrating here. Well, now you can see where we're at. We're at pick 508, and the picks here. Of course, this is a 16 team. We've got 28-man rosters, so it gets pretty slim pickings here down in the fifth round. I grabbed Deshaun Edwards, who's looking to be the third running back for the Steelers. Yeah, basically he's an injury away from being a starter in a 16-team format here. Also had uh, Jordan, new running back for Houston. Blake Watson, I also like in Denver. Of course, it's a crowded room, but just take into consideration when you get into a crowded room, it's not all that bad. It just means that it's just waiting for somebody to take over. And that could be what happens in Denver. An injury to Javonte Williams, and who knows who takes over in that. All right. So let's you know, Colin, you want to do a mock you and I here? Should be interesting. Oh, let's see. What else? I think they're just expecting me to tape this and then they're gonna watch later, I guess. Uh, so get back to the stream here. All right. Let's get into another league that I had that drafted already. Let's go back here. Let's get out of. I'll stay there. We're gonna go right down to this one. Now, this one is a 10-team best ball. Start 11. And now this draft here, let's see if I can find it. Where do I bring this one up? All right, here we go. 10 team, everything's on the board. Okay. Be nice if it showed up. That'd be ideal because I clicked over on this link. Colin. Well, we're gonna go ahead and run this anyway, Colin. So we're doing a 12 team. We're gonna just the computer's gonna go ahead and pick the picks in between here, in between us. So let's bring this draft up onto the main board here. Let's see how I grab that one. Just looking to bring it up. Okay. We want to go back and thank you for bearing with me out there. This is the first time doing this, so here we go. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. Now, if I click on this, okay, let's get it started here. All right, Colin, go ahead and lead us off here at the first pick. Now, I don't know if you have the 101 in any drafts, Colin. I believe you did. Now this is a 12 teamer, actually. I had it set up as. So go ahead and decide whether you want Caleb or Marv. You auto drafts there went Marv second, Neighbors third, which is how I have them ranked, and then Daniels at four. Then we went Rome, Drake May, and I'm gonna definitely go with JJ McCarthy here because I have personally I like McCarthy slightly over me, but that's simply based on one around him. I think McCarthy can sling it pretty well once he gets his opportunity there. After that, we had Bowers, Jonathan Brooks, Xavier Worthy, Ladky, and Benson go. Now, that means Knicks fell 201. Little surprising, but that's where his ADP is at right now. Blake Corum is the third running back. Michael Penix then went. Brian Thomas dropped all the way to the 204. Very surprising there. Marshawn Lloyd, then Keon Coleman. So I just missed out on Coleman. Now I'm left trying to decide between, I would say, Pearsall and Leggett, and I am going to jump on Ricky Pearsall. I do love the kid. He's a baller, and I know that the situation doesn't look awesome with Ayuk and Debo still there, but I know that Shanahan loves him. He talked emphatically about him after the pick that night, and I see Debo and or Ayuk, not both of them, but one of them probably might not be there come the 2025 season. And so I could see Purdy to Pearsall for a long time there in San Francisco. All right. So, Colin went ahead and jumped on his boy Jermaine Burton, new toy for Joe Burrow and his Bengals. Can't blame him there. Burton is a great talent, and he should be pretty exciting for Cincinnati. Now, after that, JT Sanders, Ray Davis, Audric Estime, Theo Johnson, and Bucky Irving. So it's on me here at the 307. And let's see here. We still got Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. Wow. I am definitely, yeah, I am definitely scooping up. Boy, I love both of these two. It's tough for me to say. I think that Baker is more of the home run threat, and Polk I can see as being the steady possession guy. So I'm gonna just barely take Jalen Polk there. Hey, Baker still hasn't gone, but we'll see. Tight ends jumping off the board here. Cincinnati's tight end, Jaheim Bell and Kate Stover. And then Colin went ahead and took Brendan Rice. We had Rattler go. Geez, what's with the tight ends? I didn't make it. I didn't even think I made it tight end premium, but wow. Okay, so Javon Baker's still there. Roman Wilson, Malachi Corley. Now this, I don't know what happened here. I mean, I put them in as all flexes, so you could pick whatever positions you wanted. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take. Uh, I don't know between Baker and Corley. It's a tough call. Oof. I'm gonna take Baker in this one. I like them both. You can flip a coin between Baker and Corley. You're not going to convert this into a draft, but yeah, they went ahead and grabbed all quarterbacks. Something happened there with the settings. I'm going to have to put in more wide receivers in the settings for the next one. Um, let's end this one, and we're going to go to the. I probably try and set up another one. Hopefully, we get some more people in here. Colin, thanks for jumping in on this one. Hopefully, y'all out there got some entertainment off of that one. Let's see if I can. How do I change this one? All right. Get out of this here. Get out of that one. Let's do a new one. You look at the settings on here quick. Draft settings, roster. We're gonna eliminate a super flex. That's what happened. I had too many super flexes. We're gonna do a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers. And two flexes. There we go. Oh, nope. We want that. There we go. Two flexes. Two regular flexes. All right. Let's update that. Back to the general settings. Looking good. Looking good. All right. There we go. All right. Now I just got to get this link over to the chat. There we go. And let me change the settings. It's still on Snake. Thank you, Colin. There we go. Update that. There we go. All right. Now we're looking good. Okay. There we go. And so anybody can go ahead and click on this link. I'm going to try and go with position 4 this time. There we go. All right. Anybody out there, go ahead. If you're still in here, sure whoever watches this one later should enjoy it. Let's see if you're still there, Colin. There he is. All right, Colin went ahead and grabbed the 108 this time. So he's the only one in here. Let's get it rolling. All right. Maybe it'll change a little with the adjustment I made to the settings. Okay, so this one started off Marv, Caleb, and then neighbors. So I am going to jump on Jaden Daniels for this one. And going to Colin at 108. Interesting choice here. Oof. I don't envy his options right here. This is one where I would probably be looking to trade back. If he grabbed Nick, you need a quarterback, nothing wrong with that. I think that as the draft season moves on, Knicks will definitely move up into the top 8 there. All right. We just had Bo Nix was so far down prior to the draft, so that's where it'll take a little bit for Sleeper to update, but I think that he'll eventually be up there at the 108 ADP wise. So guess I should have said more like the 109 would be where I normally be looking to trade back. Again, like I said earlier, I had a draft where I did trade to the 109, but that's because McCarthy fell to that spot. Okay. So next up we had, let's see, Bowers go at 109. Jonathan Brooks, Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey. I see that. I think that's going to be the next four. Pretty much consensus here. I see people are loving Worthy. I although I think Brian Thomas should fit in there somewhere as well. So it'd probably be the next five. Uh, I would prefer Brian Thomas over Lad McConkey, but I guess I can understand that. I still like Brian Thomas even over Xavier Worthy, to be honest. Benson, Thomas, Coleman. Okay, so one time out here. Again, when it comes to these, I am gonna go. Oh, Penix is enticing there, but I am gonna take Pearsall. I like him, and so it's where I'm gonna go. All right, back to you, Colin, and so yeah. Corum, Leggett, Edie Mitchell go. Colin went ahead and jumped on Penix. I can't blame him at the 208. That is solid value for him in a super flex format. We had Marshawn Lloyd, Troy Franklin, Jalen Wright, Ben Sinnott. I see that as a good spot to jump on Sinnott there. Ray Davis, maybe a little early for him, but of course, if he does get the goal line opportunities in Buffalo, that could be well worth it. Roland Wilson and Jalen Pope. Okay. So now we've got our choice here. Between Corley, Baker, Burton, I am going to go with Corley this time. Corley and Baker are just a toss up to me, man. So I'm just going to grab him. Burton, Baker, Bucky Irving. Now it's back on Colin. I don't envy his choice here. Really, what I've been seeing again, I've done about four. I'm in four. I've done with one draft and in the middle of three others, and right around here, um, like after Baker, I do put Burton up there with Baker and Corley, but right around here, middle of the third round and beyond, you can take anywhere from 30 307 to 412, and you can sort of put those 18 picks any which way. If most of your drafts only go 4 rounds, uh, I'm looking at picks 307 through 412, and if you want to trade back there, it's probably a good idea because there's a lot of similar talent level there. Okay, now it's back to me, and we're gonna look at. Let's see, we got Braylon Allen, Tez Walker, Kamani Vidal. So I am looking at Grundo, Dylan Love. I am going to. Oh, that's honestly right here. It's between Luke McCaffrey and Tracy. I am going to try and give Tracy a little bit of a bump here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tyrod Tracy. Is Luke McCaffrey even going to get drafted now? Boy. There you go, Colin. Grab LMC. Okay. Finished it off after he grabbed McCaffrey, Johnny Wilson, Malik Washington, Theo Johnson. And I believe that's Jamar Thrash from Cleveland. Great route runner. Slides into that Cleveland, kind of sort of a muddled Cleveland receiver room now with Judy and Thrash coming into the mix with Amari Cooper. David Njoku is still there. So it is sort of a muddled mix there for Deshaun Watson, but he can use all the talent he needs to try and improve this season, see if he actually does bounce back. So Colin, thank you very much for joining in. I had a great time doing this. It was my first round, first go at it. I'm going to try and go ahead and do this again tomorrow night, and hopefully we can get some more of you to join in. Again, thank Colin for joining. And with that, I am going to end it for tonight. But again, please join tomorrow night. We're looking to do the same thing right around the same time, 9 p.m. Central Time. Please join us. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe. We have the Birdhouse Dynasty show brought to you by Choice Sports Cards, your number one choice in buying and selling sports cards. Check out the boys over there on Whatnot. Kyle and the guys do a great job over there. So check them out. I have, and it is a good time. So, again, thank you all tonight. That's all I've got. Never stop working.
Oh, come on, dude.